Okay. That gives us the sharp side's dry enough. I flip it over to a dry spot. This is one option if you're strong enough for it. I grab this handle, lift, locking my elbow in, and dry off the, I'm grabbing the whole bottom there. So the bottom's dry and most of the front and back. Find a dry spot on my rag. Same thing, lock the elbow into the hip. Come on here. Alternatively, you can find some other way to dry it off. Safety is more important than getting it dry. I tilt it so I can dry off the front and see what I'm doing. It's always a good idea to keep a hand on the handles. Okay, if your bolts are in the lower hole, okay, they will be a lot more tippy. So be aware, be conscious of that. You do not want this crashing down. If you're in the top holes, it's pretty solid like this. So now, it's dried off. We're going to spin around to the bench. Okay, and when I said position the scabbard, what I'm looking for is my handles are past this ledge. So the last thing I want is for the whole thing to slide down and cut my legs off. Now you could check for sharpness, but if we follow the procedure, it's done. It's just a matter of coating it and bolting it down. But I always like to check. Okay, it's going to bite a little rougher than the paper blades because we had, not because we used worse stones, but because the back of this surface has corrosion. Little tiny, I'm not going to say microscopic because you can see them. All that black marks on the back are tiny holes, and so when you grind down, those holes get revealed. You can't, it looks sharp. So I guess it is microscopically rough. I mean, that's still cut paper. It's still sharp. And it's also as good as you're going to get. So I'm going to grab me a paper towel. And this is what we use as anti-rust coating. It's LPS 3. We fill up this squirty bottle from the 1 gallon can. It hasn't been used in a while. It tends to separate a little bit. And this is where you get messy. That's okay. Goop up the paper towel. Okay, it's going to squirt because the holes. Come on. Oh, gee. No! I haven't used it in a while. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. So, it's kind of like a thick oil. And what the procedure I do is I run back along the back here, kind of overlapping the sharp edge. I use a lot of it. Shortly after I started doing this, I usually just leave a thin film. And I had them start developing bright red rust spots before they even left the shop. I don't want that. So I put a nice thick film. I don't care how expensive this stuff is. Appearances are worth something. Okay? And this is just my procedure. You can probably find your own way to do it. What I do then is get some glue stuff on the back. Then I lock my hip. And I get a film on that bottom part that's resting on the scabbard. And that's fine. If this stuff or WD-40 soaks into the scabbard, it's only going to protect the blade. I just don't want to be too nasty for the customers to get their hands on, but nobody's complained ever. So, then I take a wet corner of my towel and I kind of squeegee out every one of these bolt holes because they just harbor water. And I figure whatever I can do to keep those things from rusting, the better. I got material on the back, so I wipe it up, squeegee it into those holes. Okay, the only 2 holes I didn't clean out were the ones with the bolts. So then I just work my way back and forth, getting a nice even coating. Yeah, some of it fills up those holes. Again, nobody's complained about too much rust prevention. But you You don't want a single spot missing because it will rust. This is how I do the sharp edge. I just make sure I got a little bead here. Again, in my opinion, this LPS 3 is cheap compared to a yucky looking blade. And I just wipe it out. One direction, then make sure I wipe it out the other direction. Just trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. Now, I'll bring the blade down, but I'm going to leave it in front of the overlapping part of the scabbard. You'll see why in a second. I'm going to break these free. Set them here because I probably have more nice blades to do. Now I gotta get these bolts out from behind. I'm going to grab this plier here. It's been modified for this purpose. Okay, and it works great. This is the way I do it. If you're not strong enough, you can tilt the whole blade. But I get a good stance, lock my elbow, just lift up, pull out, grab my rag, squeegee those holes which still have water in them. So I think this part of the procedure is important. Then I line up this hole with the T-nut, come over to this end, grab it, line up with that T-nut. The only part that doesn't have LPS 3 is right here, so we'll fix that. Just a little dab will do. Or in my case, a large dab. A few passes. Just to make sure we didn't miss anything. Okay. Boom. Sometimes you can get this paper towel to last several blades. Don't drive yourself nuts. Throw it away if it gets too nasty. Now, this blade is ready to go. If I were going to, if this is my last blade for the day, I'll probably fill out my card with the date, 3/30/19, and then just leave it here. The LPS 3 will dry, and then I won't get the card all nasty when I install it tomorrow or next week. And I won't get my hands nasty by lifting this blade up and putting it away. If I have another blade to do, oh well. Sharp side out with the current date. Get it centered in the T-nut. If possible, I like to tuck that sharp card underneath into the scabbard here. In fact, I'll make an effort of pushing the card under that way. It's less likely to get ripped off. As in torn, not stolen. And sometimes you'll get blades in with only 2 T-nuts. Either the large saber blades or the ice blades. And we prefer 3. But we've drawn a line at shipping. If we're going to put it in the United States Postal Service, we will make sure there are 3 bolts. If it's just going in the car and then to an ice rink, that's their problem. Yeah, there we go. I always put my tools away. There we go. Just give it a little snug. 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 Blade's done. Now if you spin around over here, either you can leave it like that and come clean it later or before the next blade, or while everything's wet and loose, you can make a little better of an effort to kind of rinse things off, lift up the clamp so the water can get underneath them. You know, if you see scuzz, like that's where the bolt was, so I left a little rust ring there. I rubbed it off with my hand. Wipe the bottom of the clamps off, you know. Okay. There you go. You can get another paper towel with WD-40. Wipe down the rails. This does not have to happen every time. I'm just showing you all the little aspects of the procedure. If I wasn't going to be here for a month, I would make sure those are wiped down, and I might even go around with WD-40 and hit anything that I thought might rust. So already my clamps are tilted a little bit to the side. So if I were to go straight into another ice blade, it's already ready to go. So, that is ice blades.